Have you observed your thinking recently? Have you ever observed your thinking? Have you ever noticed the inward daily manifestations which thought brings into being? Have you noticed a repetitive quality to thought? Have you noticed thought engenders fear and psychological problems? Thought is behind every worry, every psychological hurt and pain, every inward stress, anxiety and depression. Thought is also what seeks pleasure and success in our lives. We understand very little about thought, and most of what we do understand remains unquestioned and has been provided to us by another. We have no first-hand information regarding our thinking, and so we have no first-hand understanding of what our thinking is or how it functions. Do you see? This is a very strange situation for us to be in collectively as a race, for every man and woman is caught in a net of continuous chattering, a net of words and images, and the name we give to this incessant activity is thinking. We identify with thinking. We have been educated to identify with thinking. We see thinking as the very ground movement inwardly of what we are, or perhaps what we produce. We perhaps see ourselves as a thinker of thoughts. So we have been repetitively told, and the thinker can never stop this inward activity, like some hopeless junkie who cannot prevent himself repetitively sticking a needle in his arm. We are in a similar position with our thinking. Our brain appears hardwired to this inner habit of frustrating brain function, and it has been 12 years of memorizing, for the most part, absolute junk during what passed as an education in our lives at a young and tentative age, which was enough to solidify the brain into a pattern of living continuously within memory. Thought is memory. Memory is founded on knowledge, and knowledge is born from limited experiences. Stop here a second until you see this, for none of this will have any value in your life unless you see it for yourself. The pattern is this: experience. Gather knowledge from that experience, store it in the brain in the form of memory, and thought later arises from this inwardly accumulated bank of experiences. This process is automatic. It is in nature the exact same movement you repetitively engaged with thousands of times during your poorly named academic years. Programmed years would be a better adjective for the manipulation the human child's brain undergoes for what passes as education on this broken planet. Thought, all of thought, is memory, and memory is knowledge gathered from experiences. And this inner mechanism we have all been educated to approach life from is what is breaking our world, because it divides us. And in our divisions, we come to struggle, conflict, and ultimately flower into our historically and present visible propensity for bloody wars. We are a race of deep suffering, and we are the actual cause of our own suffering. We need look to our own actions to solve this problem. Experience is always limited. It can never be complete, because you cannot experience everything in life. And so knowledge gathered from experience is likewise forever limited. Thought arising from knowledge is of course just as limited to the stored content of knowledge which arises from my past life experiences. Please listen to these sentences until you are certain you see the same. Do not be convinced by these words unless you see the same. Your thinking is limited in nature, never complete, because your thinking has its roots in past experiences, and experience can never be complete for any of us, for there is always more to know. Knowledge acts in ignorance of what has not previously been experienced, and we now all act on this ground of this inner movement of automatic thinking which we can never bring to an end, meaning our actions are limited in nature to the limited knowledge which gave birth to them. This is obvious. If I am born in England, I speak English, and I am likely a Christian if I adhere to any religion at all. If I am born in Saudi Arabia or in Israel, I will grow into another kind of thinking mind, because the experiences I have met are different from the experiences you have met. And I will live differently, and I will hold different passions, different beliefs, and different ideologies of what is right and wrong in our world, because the nature of the knowledge driving my life forwards is different to the nature of the knowledge you hold inwardly. Here is where we divide. So good so far? Are we seeing this? Not accepting words. This is not my opinion. This is not an ideology. This is something far more powerful. This is something far more powerful than such an insignificance as opinion. This is true, and what is true when seen is the same for each single one of us. Truth in life knows no opposite. Truth is where we arrive to see the same world together. It can never be contradicted. Truth is a unifying energy. Knowledge, which we derive our life directions from, is what is dividing us. Experiences are divisive, for we have not all experienced the same, and we never will. Let's look at our current observable giant manifest of current global divisions: the Great Reset, the New World Order, Davos man. Actually, if you take the time to look and question, this is exactly the same movement as the division of wealth which has plagued mankind for decades, even centuries, and has grown out of all proportions to an abysmal situation today, where we find the 10 richest men of our world own more than the poorest 83 countries. Connect the dots. We operate based on a pattern of thinking educated into us, which proposed that the bona fide way to meet life was to battle our peers to reach top of the class. We gathered and found security in living within knowledge during those 12 years, and we did all of this under the watchful guidance of an ever-present authority in the form of a teacher. Do you see the absolute relationship between our classroom conditioning and our broken society? They are mirror reflections of each other. We have been programmed like a computer is programmed. We are behaving in life automatically, as we were all conditioned to do during school years, all functioning from an inner limited bank of stored knowledge, divided from another's limited bank of stored knowledge, all now seeking differing goals based on the content of our knowledge, which is divisive based on our dividing past experiences. Divided from another's bank of knowledge, all self-interested, all seeking our isolated success in opposition to another, all competitive and so fearful of failing and of authority. What an education system we built, and what a world we have built which has followed this mind-rotting pattern of a fake education system. Action based on thinking will always divide us, for this action is divisive in nature, based as it is on the limited knowledge arising from the limited experiences we have gathered it from. Action from truth will always unite us. And so, what is truth? Truth is not found in knowledge, although knowledge may point to truth. Truth is found only in the understanding and the relationship to what is. What is, the actual of life, is the same for each of us. What is actual, not what we think about what is actual. And seeing what is, coming into relationship with a ground of actuality. Seeing truth is what breaks our illusions, obviously. Right now, the men of Davos, our giants of manipulative wealth, are acting on their limited knowledge, as we all do. And these are powerful men, so their actions are having massive repercussions on our world, which we are all feeling, and many of us have suffered from, physically and psychologically. These people have a strange understanding of the word better. This is an action by one limited group of people seeking dominance over others, enforced will. You will live as we tell you you will live, acting out from formulated, agreed, thought-out plans, generated from inner thinking based on past limited experiences, arising from limited knowledge, ignorant, totally, to the experiences, lives, needs, and happiness of others who have not shared the same background, in conflict against others who wish to see a different kind of world. Remarkable things are being so arrogantly discussed. Knowledge is ever arrogant in its feeling of superiority over others. Listen to every so-called expert for confirmation of this fact. Men of knowledge are arrogant in nature. They do not comprehend the deep limitation to their lives their limited knowledge has brought. Mankind is apparently to become a cog in a machine, a component of the internet, a chip within a giant computer. Transhumanism without choice. This is the utter arrogance of limited knowledge, providing a feeling that due to my elevated, unnecessary, unrequested stature in life, I know better than you, when in truth, I know different than you. And what I know is limited, and therefore leading to conflict. And conflict leads to dictatorship and war. And no one wants to live in this kind of world, perhaps other than the dictators, despite the fact that many of us do. We were not born to be turned into machines. Perhaps we may create them, but we are not creators. We may invent, as the Great Reset is human invention, but these inventions are merely repetitive modifications of the same limited past experiences, a future cage that we may all walk into, and a modified repetition of our past, which has also been a cage. Study this, for this blows the Great Reset completely out of the water. The Great Reset is a movement which has come out of limited and divisive human limited knowledge, human thinking, arrogant and ignorant human thinking. They know what needs to be done. Well, I don't know, but I do see all knowledge of what needs to be done is ever limited, and so only conflict causing between us, needing enforced rather than being a caring approach to the lives of humanity, and so only capable of bringing further problems to our world, further divisions. You will own nothing and be happy. Presumably, we will own everything, and we will be happier. We need to free mankind, not imprison him within the cells of yet another tin-pot dictator's desires. Truth will free us. Understanding the inner prison cells we all live within will open the doors of this educated cage. The truth of what we are, and what we are is this inner thinking mind, rooted in knowledge-based experiences, self-centered in the extreme, and so destructive, therefore, to the lives of others. We free humanity when we free the mind of humanity, not when we follow the self-interested, elitist minds of an imprisoned humanity, no matter how many numbers that group unnecessarily holds. Numbers make for no intelligence. Thought is thought, and thought is limited, and acting on such a limitation is nothing other than a catastrophe.